point in time.
Alderman Baker.
Well, I think we've got three issues, and maybe we should go through them one at a time. Mayor, Safe Quality and Crime-Free Housing Bureau. I like it. Let's get the word inspection out of there. That should be one of the votes right now. The other one is, and I'm not sure where we're going to land on this, which is why we need to make this a separate vote. I'm uncomfortable with 3 part-time $15 an hour employees that we all have to worry about who's keeping track of them, what are they up to. We don't have to worry about that with firemen. Yes, it's going to be a little more expensive, but they're instantly trained. The whole community trusts the firemen. I'm never going to trust $15 an hour employees to be part of this process. I've lived in this town 35 years, and I'm not going to, at this moment, discuss all the problems that we had when we had what I considered out of control, lots of full-time people in the code enforcement. And there wasn't really, I think, a lot of checks and balances. I'm very comfortable with 3. I'm not willing to add more. I'm willing to add unlimited as needed off-duty firemen. That I'm very comfortable with. There's no legacy cost. We're in there. So I'd like to, let's get that question settled first. I'm looking for a second to that we don't hire the part-time, but we use that budget from now until next budget time to, as needed, drop on off-duty firemen. I'm looking for a second.
I'll second it.
I hear a second. Okay.
This motion is to, instead of part-time $15 an hour employees, we take that budget, wherever that budget ends up, that's going to be a different vote, and use towards that budget on an as-needed basis off-duty firemen at the G7 rate to do the inspections. And by the way, they wouldn't be limited to just the sidewalk. They'll do whatever needs to be done because they can, and they're already part of the city.
So it's a motion to amend the budget and staffing plan to reflect the use of firefighters at the 7G rate instead of part-time personnel for the...
Yes, and that's what I believe I asked for the second on. Is that clear enough? Is that what you
Is
heard?
that your second, Dave?
Correct.
Okay. Discussion. Alderman Mailer.
Well, this is sort of interesting. That's how we got to part-time. $15, $20, whatever they are, is because the other way was too expensive. Whether it was full-time or more professional people doing these inspections. I just don't understand which way we're going here. And then also the cost. Does that not impact the cost when you're going to pay? What's the rate for that Q7 rate for a fireman? $49 an hour, something like that? 39? $43 an hour? Let's see, that's only 3 to 4 times the amount of cost for these part-time inspections. And that was a big component, if I recall, of the overall total program of, what do we have budgeted, $150,000 this year to cover all of these on it? So what I mean, it's ridiculous.
Really?
And Mayor and Council, again, I'm the one that offered it. Again, just, but I feel obligated to also let you know, just like we had in our earlier discussion in regards to the hotel program, that just like Alderman Miller was saying, there is additional cost because of that. Okay, it is a higher cost, hence why this is a budget amendment, because you're looking at, and I worked with the chief on this. We budgeted for the part-time inspectors about $61,000. Okay. If you look at doing the 7G rate with the number of inspectors at the same amount of hours, you're looking at double that cost. So again, in all transparency, you're looking at doubling the cost, and then therefore the general fund would have to eat that cost. So please be aware of that, hence why it is a budget amendment. Okay.
Alderman Baker.
For clarification, just so you can think about this, we've got 60,000. I'll bet you we don't use up that 60,000 even at the G7 rate. But bear in mind, Alderman Naylor is correct. We had 150,000 in the budget, general fund, for this program. In addition to that, we've already been told tonight that we've taken in an additional 159,000 in registration fees. That's $309,000 that I don't think we've spent. Even if we use that 60, we won't even spend the 150. We didn't pick up the extra car. I mean, help me out here. What am I missing? But it seems to be we've got lots of money here to play with, but yet we're only talking about that 60,000, and we don't have to use those people by your own admission when it's cold out. They might only work 2 hours every couple of weeks or every week, but when it's warm out and we've got the high grass and we've got the apparent problems, they can dive right in tomorrow.
Yep. I want to make clear, the 150,000 that was put in the budget, not this budget, but the last budget, okay, was to help create the program. That $150,000 was eliminated and moved into this crime-free housing and inspection program. Okay, so it's incorporated as part of the program, inclusive of Carl Leone, the administrative assistant, as well as the part-timers and everything else they need to help run this program. So I don't want the council to think that there's an extra 150,000. There is not. We budgeted 277,000 for this program specifically. Okay, so with that budget, again, if you want to consider the off-duty firefighters, personally, I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea, but there is additional cost as part of that. And that's what the council needs to consider.
Alderman Lash.
Thank you. I have to say, Dave, I take a lot of offense to something you just said. You don't trust part-time $15 an hour employees of the city of DeKalb to handle this job. How many part-time employees do we have with the city right now who might have just heard that? How many $15 an hour employees of the city do we have right now taking care of just as important jobs in the city as that? We're sitting up here, and I think it was you and I one time that figured out that we are paid way less than $15 an hour for the work that we put in, and you're talking about we have a lot of money to play with. And then we wonder why people don't trust us up here.
We have an extra 159,000. And to answer that question, I don't think that any landlord out there would ever trust a part-time employee, which could turn over every month, every 2 months, to be the person that comes in and tells them what they have to or to do in order to be able to hold on to their property. Or, Kristin, if we have the firemen, they're going to be there year after year after year, they'll at least know who they talked to the last time and what was said when a new inspection comes along or a new problem comes up. Yes, I do think it's a problem, and I think that's what this is all about.
That was actually one of my arguments. Thank you for keeping it where it is now, because if they're all under one supervisor, it actually gives them a better chance to form those relationships. I'm still just absolutely flabbergasted that you could say you would not trust a City of DeKalb employee. With the screening we're going to put them through, with the hiring process that we have, with the number of part-time employees we already have with the city, with us sitting up here as part-time employees of the city, making way less than $15 for the number of hours we put in.
Do you know how many employees of the city have been terminated for conducting personal business on city time in the last 10 years? There are a lot of people in the audience that know. And maybe it was before you started, but people in the community brought forth video camera evidence of what can go on and what did go on, and people were terminated over it. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay. I'd like to bring us back to the motion before us with a second, and help me with that motion, Diane.
Instead of motion to amend by Dave Baker, instead of hiring part-time $15 employees, take that budget money and use it towards off-duty firefighters as needed to do the inspection, seconded by Alderman Jacobson.
Okay. And I'll ask for a roll call.
Alderman Baker.
Yes.
O'Leary.
No.
Jacobson.
No.
Fanouken.
Yes.
Lash.
No.
Snow,
No.
Naylor,
No.
Ray,
No.
3 aye.
2.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2 aye.
Okay. So motion defeated. Is there a motion to receive and file the the ordinance 1355 then, amending 1331 and 1332? This is moving it's a budget amendment, moving the dollars from the police department over to code. Is there a motion to receive and file?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there further discussion?
Could you explain, what are we doing now on this one? Okay.
First reading, and this is to move it's a budget amendment to move the dollars from police department over to code for the part-time inspectors. And first reading, Dean, this requires a 2/3 vote?
Yes.
Okay. Further discussion. Alderman Snow?
It's been a lot of good discussion tonight on this project, and I think, first of all, I don't know if it's really important right now what department the inspectors are located under. I do think that needs to be addressed over the 6-9 months. So whichever way we go, I think we need to revisit this down the road. But we need some experience behind us. I guess, in one sense, I'd prefer to wait a few months to see who gets hired and what the pros and cons of the different scenarios are. I'm not entirely opposed. I think eventually these people need to be under the code department. Still sort of undecided whether we should do that now or later, but I think that's the direction we need to go. Is just whether we do it now or 6-9 months from now.
Okay. I'd like to express my preference is to not make a structural change at this point, but complete the search for a new city manager, have that position filled, have an individual in that role that could then assess the effectiveness of the Housing Bureau and make structural recommendations if those are deemed appropriate at that time. Further discussion? I'll ask for a roll call then.
Alderman O'Leary,
Yes.
Jacobson,
Yes.
Fanouken,
No.
Lash,
No.
Snow,
No.
Naylor,
No.
Baker,
Yes.
Ray,
No.
3 aye.
Okay. So at this point, the motion is defeated,
Yes.
not receiving a 2/3 majority.
Right.
Okay. Are we,
Well,
what do we need?
On to the next
Is there,
item.
I guess clarification from the mayor.
yeah,
Did you want to see this program start tomorrow, or did you want to wait till we have a new city manager in place? As
I
far
would
as the
see
60,000
starting the
budget being spent?
program, Alderman Baker, under the proposed structure of part-time inspectors under the Housing Bureau Director
Tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Okay. I guess the only thing that, maybe we got to bring this back at next meeting, but I absolutely want to see whatever vehicle that these people are driving around in be GPSed, and there be some sort of an audit and keep track of them very closely.
Okay.
You don't trust them.
I don't even know who they are yet.
Yep.
No, we've had too many problems in the last 10 years, and you want to,
Reports.
Let's move on to council report.